Welcome to our program, Circles, Excerpts from Essays, First Series by Ralph Waldo Emerson, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2, on Words of Wisdom. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a renowned 19th century American essayist, philosopher, lecturer, poet, and leader of the Transcendental Philosophical Movement. His literature influenced many celebrated writers, including Henry David Thoreau and Walt Whitman. Emerson is most famous for his essays, through which he expresses ideas of freedom, spirituality, individuality, the remarkable ability of humans to have profound realizations, and the relationship between the soul and the surrounding world. Ralph Waldo Emerson traveled widely, giving lectures, and became well known for his publications, essays, and nature. In today's program, we will be exploring the enlightening views of Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays, Circles, from his book Essays, First Series, which reveals the hidden truths of the universe through the interconnectedness of all things, the pursuit of virtues, and the power of silence to bring us closer to a perfect understanding. Divine Connections. The natural world may be conceived of as a system of concentric circles, and we now and then detect in nature slight dislocations which apprise us that this surface on which we now stand is not fixed but sliding. These manifold tenacious qualities, this chemistry and vegetation, these metals and animals, which seem to stand there for their own sake, are means and methods only, are words of God and as fugitive as other words. Has the naturalist or chemist learned his craft, who has explored the gravity of atoms and the elective affinities, who has not yet discerned the deeper law whereof this is only a partial or approximate statement, namely that like draws to like, and that the goods which belong to you gravitate to you and need not be pursued with pains and cost? Yet is that statement approximate also and not final? Omnipresence is a higher fact. Not through the subtle subterranean channels need friend and fact be drawn to their counterpart, but rightly considered, these things proceed from the eternal generation of the soul. Cause and effect are two sides of one fact. Virtues. The same law of eternal procession ranges all that we call the virtues and extinguishes each in the light of a better. The great man will not be prudent in the popular sense. All his prudence will be so much deduction from his grandeur. But it behooves each to see, when he sacrifices prudence, to what God he devotes it. If to ease and pleasure, he had better be prudent still. If to a great trust, he can well spare his mule and panniers, who has a winged chariot instead. Geoffrey draws on his boots to go through the woods so that his feet may be safer from the bite of snakes. Aaron never thinks of such a peril. In many years, neither has been harmed by such an accident. Yet it seems to me that with every precaution you take against such an evil, you put yourself into the power of evil. I suppose that the highest prudence is the lowest prudence. Is this too sudden a rushing from the center to the verge of our orbit? Think how many times we shall fall back into pitiful calculations before we take up our rest in the great sentiment, or make the verge of today the new center. Besides, your bravest sentiment is familiar to the humblest men. The poor and the low have their way of expressing the last facts of philosophy as well as you. Blessed be nothing. And the worse things are, the better they are proverbs that express the transcendentalism of common life. Silence of truth. Conversation is a game of circles. In conversation, we pluck up the termini, which bound the common of silence on every side. The parties are not to be judged by the spirit they partake in, or even express under this Pentecost. Tomorrow they will have receded from this high water mark. Tomorrow you shall find them stooping under the old pack saddles. Yet let us enjoy the cloven flame while it glows on our walls. When each new speaker strikes a new light, emancipates us from the oppression of the last speaker to oppress us with the greatness and exclusiveness of his own thought, then yields us to another Redeemer. We seem to recover our rights to become men. Oh, what truths profound and executable only in ages and orbs are supposed in the announcement of every truth. In common hours, society sits cold and statuesque. We all stand waiting, empty, knowing possibly that we can be full, surrounded by mighty symbols which are not symbols to us, but prose and trivial toys. Then cometh the God, and converts the statues into fiery men, and by a flash of his eye burns up the veil which shrouded all things, and the meaning of the very furniture, of cup and saucer, of chair and clock and tester is manifest. The facts which loomed so large in the fogs of yesterday, property, climate, breeding, personal beauty, and the like, have strangely changed their proportions. All that we reckon settled shakes and rattles, and literature, cities, climates, and religions leave their foundations and dance before our eyes. And yet here again, see the swift circumspection. Good as is a discourse, silence is better and shames it. The length of a discourse indicates the distance of thought between the speaker and the hearer. If they were at a perfect understanding in any part, no words would be necessary thereon. If at one in all parts, no words would be suffered. For more information, please visit Project Gutenberg or gutenberg.org.
Free yourself from pain. Starting vegan.
Noble viewers, thank you for your warm presence today for Words of Wisdom.